welcome to Market Insights. I am Lavina Emma. Now, Nigeria's bread basket is under pressure. As we know, the cases of inflation, food inflation to be more precise. And in this country, we have a growing population and an unpredictable weather threatened by food security. But what if there was a solution that could revolutionize agriculture in Nigeria? And that solution is genetically modified organisms, or GMOs as they are popularly called. Now, we know GMO is a controversial topic, but could they be the key to unlocking a food-secure future for Nigeria? Proponents of GMOs highlight their potential to increase crop yields and resilience. So imagine crops engineered to resist drought or pests, reducing reliance on rain and harsh environments. Now, you know, this could be a game changer for Nigerian farmers, allowing them to produce more food, even in challenging conditions. However, concerns linger. Now, some health experts, some doctors, some biologists worry about the potential environmental impacts of GMOs. Others fear unknown long-term health effects. But the most important thing we can quell all of this anxiety and indecision is transparency and open dialogue. Now, these are crucial to addressing these anxieties. So what does this mean for our Nigerian food security? The future of food in Nigeria is uncertain, but one thing is very clear. Innovative solutions are needed. Now, could GMOs be a part of the answer? Perhaps, or not. So join us after the break as we debate exploring potential benefits and risk of genetically modified food. So to discuss these issues with me, I have two guests joining me virtually. So first of all, let me start with Dahiru Ibrahim Kwaru. He's the Principal Manager Investment for Kano State Investment Properties Limited. And he's also an all-seasons farmer for crops like maize, sorghum, rice, and granite. So welcome to Market Insights, Dahiru Ibrahim Kwaru. We're discussing Nigeria's agricultural future in terms of food and, you know, our crops. We know we have two seasons in Nigeria, the dry season and the rainy season. And from our weather here in Lagos this morning, yes, the rainy season has started here in Lagos. So we've entered our rainy season here. So do you think there is a need to for genetically modified food and seeds for planting and to actually have an all-year harvest in this part of the world, in Nigeria to be precise, because we know that weather has a very important decision to play when planting our seeds, when harvesting the food crops. So do you think that there is a need to genetically modified food? I know people have said, oh, it helps to prevent crops to exposure to harsh weather conditions, but you know we have a growing population in Nigeria. So do you think this will benefit our growing population?
Thank you very much for having me. Like to say climate condition, weather has an important role to play in determining kind of seeds, kind of harvesting time and season. So like, let me be frank to you, like here am I in northern part. The climate season, the climatic change have like 3 seasons where we can is times of this irrigation during harmattan season, after rainy season. It is 3 times. So depending on the geographical zone, Nigeria zone have 3 seasons. As I'm talking to you, after the dry season, have done that of after the rain season, on the dry season again, and we are going to plant some against before the wet season here in Kano. But as you said, there in Lagos, it start in raining season. So definitely the type of there's need for such and the terms of the seed that we're supposed to be planting. Some of the seed they have to spend maybe like 70 days. Some take 90 to 100. So looking at the time variation between the rain season and so there is a time. So what you need to do is to search and to search and comes those seeds that we are used to plant. As such, it is a thing in a headway to so total food and security. Yeah, looking at Asian size.
Okay. So yes, I understand what you're saying. Yes, we have our different planting seasons and also our different crops that we use. But for some certain crops, like for example, wheat, we have known from interacting with farmers and a lot of agricultural experts that there's a particular climatic condition that wheat grows under. And Nigeria doesn't have that climate to ensure that we have proper harvest of large quantities of wheat being harvested. So we are still importing wheat in this part of the world. And as we know, mostly from Ukraine, which is a war-torn country, surprisingly, they still send wheat to Nigeria. So how can we, don't you think using genetically modified organisms, don't you think it will boost wheat harvest in Nigeria?
Yes, genetically modified seed. There's need for that because some part of Northern country there is a Hamatan season just around that kind January, February, within 2-3 months. It is within that, and the wheat during that season is in around December, January, and so once it first, if you plant it, not have the yield, but some maybe middle uh, down southern part of this country, and they don't have that Hamatan seed. So definitely expect this place to plant our traditional wheat that we use. But using genetically modified seeds, when we have that, even a state such as Niger, Lagos, or some southern part of this country, they can still use it and plant it so that we have a year. Can only achieve that using genetically modified seed.
And also I have Emmanuel Abusin. He is the Executive Director, Pan-African Institute of Agribusiness and Management. He's also the CEO, Trema Agro Services Limited. So I was still talking with Dahiru Ibrahim Kwaru. So are you with us, Dahiru?
Yes.
Okay, now you explained about this wheat situation, but do you really think that genetically modified food crops can improve agricultural yields in Nigeria?
Exactly, there's no doubt. And the Research Institute, Agricultural Research Institute, and stakeholders have to do. In the world, this is what is raining. So there is nothing is impossible. So all our traditional method of doing agricultural harvesting, planting, and can do away with them as long as we can search and this regard. It's impossible. Actually, then GMO, I think, is way to go. Yes.
Emmanuel Abusin. He's also joining us virtually. So are you here with us, Emmanuel Abusin?
Yes. Yes, good morning.
Yes, glad to have you on the
Good
program.
morning.
So we're talking about genetically modified organisms and how it could benefit us, or also, and in addition, the health risk associated with it. So now, what do you think are the potential economic benefits of GMOs for Nigerian farmers?
Okay. I would like to say that the journey to food security is the journey from agriculture starts with good seed, healthy seed. And when we have healthy seed, then we can talk about we are into business. GMO seeds are seeds that are, just like you mentioned earlier, they have strength to resist harsh weather, pests, and all the advantages that comes around it. And if we're going to be able to empower our farmers to be able to improve and enhance their food productivity we're going to look at this how to empower them with inputs, because it's about input first for the farmers. When they have good inputs, it can enhance their productivity. And GMO health it comes to play a very vital role in this regard. The food crisis we're having in Nigeria is because of our limited access to input, our limited access to the market, our limited access even to funding, especially for smallholder farmers. So when we can tackle the case of seed, then we're already making progress. So originally, GMOs are solutions to tackle our weather conditions, especially in Africa, where we have climate change. I'm not okay. I will not just say that. I'm not limited to Africa. Sorry, let me say on the global scale. Our the current weather crisis we are facing. So these seeds were introduced to help farmers have input to farm. So I would say that it's going to be a great benefit to farmers, because these are seeds that we need to scale up our productivity. So this is going to be a very good advantage for farmers.
Okay, so you do support the use of GMOs for our seedlings to help perhaps increase our harvesting when these crops are harvested, and also promote an all-year harvesting for these crops, not just once during a particular season that we have to wait till the following year for the crops, for the harvest to come again. You support it?
Mm. Yes, you see, every problem brings a solution, and every solution daring again is another problem. So we're already having problem with food crisis. It's a problem already. We're having GMO, genetically modified seeds, which is meant to solve this particular problem. The GMO is going to come with its own peculiarity kind of problem, which we are still going to create solutions to. So if we look at it in a larger scale, the current food crisis we're having in Nigeria, the current crisis we're having with our climate, the current crisis we're having with our market shocks can be addressed if we have all-round farming season. Now, we mentioned about wheat earlier. Wheat do well in climates that are cold, and then we have some states in Nigeria where this wheat farm can be done, especially in Kano, Jigawa, some few states in Nigeria, Plateau states, Borno, I guess, some of the states. So we need to now see how we can be able to take advantage of our own weather using these genetically modified seeds to scale up what we are currently doing. We need to have all-round farming season, both wet season and dry season. So we cannot be limited to wet season to cater for us all year round and still to the next season. We're not going to actually make progress with that. So this is a I would say a science discovery that is leading us to food sufficiency and food security. So because we cannot talk about food security and not talk about food sufficiency.
Okay. Okay, but still stay with me, Emmanuel Abusin. Now, I just want to state something for our audience. Now, genetically modified organisms are foods that are grown using techniques that can change an organism's DNA. So you could have, maybe there might be an issue with a particular product, or rather with a particular fruit or vegetable that might require maybe its shelf life to be increased. So to stay longer. For example, if it's being sold in a supermarket, we want to improve on the shelf life so that more people can also buy this fruit or vegetable. So that's when GMOs are used to actually improve on the shelf life of these food items. But in cases where these GMOs also pose a potential risk to consumers of this fruit. So analysts have also stated that foods that are being harvested using, like, for example, if a seed is planted and the resulting fruit that came about, it was actually produced from GMOs, it should be stated when being purchased for consumers that this fruit was grown using GMOs, so people are aware. But in that kind of situation, don't you think, like in a country like Nigeria where false news tends to spread a lot, now don't you think that we need to have a responsible regulation and adaptation for GMOs? Yes, let me start with you, Emmanuel Abusin, then I'll move on to Dahiru Ibrahim. Your thoughts on this?
We have NAFDAC. We have agencies that are set up to address this problem by the federal government of Nigeria. And they don't just operate, and even at local government level, down to the world level. And their job is to ascertain the elder nature of all of this crop before consumption. Now, before we introduce a particular seed into the market or into our ecosystem, there are authorities, there are agencies that are meant to certify first that if these seeds are healthy, not just leaving it to the consumer's discretion to decide which fruit and which produce not to buy, because this is GMO and this other one is organic. Look at it, first of all, from the food agency. Again, like I mentioned, the food agency, the health consumed by human. If yes, then we need to now educate the people, because it's about mind frame. And this is why the media also play a very good role. The National Orientation Agency also play a good role, that the media help us to set the agenda, that yes, the health sector and the agencies has been able to certify that this food is okay to be consumed. So you can consume it and there will be no repercussions. Again, like I said earlier, every solution brings another problem. So every solution to a problem brings another problem. So we have to also go and look at it again. What are the science discovery is going to bring? So when these are to another level and said, okay, this is it, and then educate the right information, because we need the right information. And this is now left to, like I said, the national to educate, not just the farmers need to be educated to know that the particular crop he or she for the consumers, because business is not just for, is to satisfy the customer's need and desires accurately, involving all the stakeholders. So even the consumer here is a stakeholder ecosystem, in the agricultural ecosystem. So the farmers need to be educated. The seed the seed they are planting is consumable by humans and is healthy. So I think it's going to be an holistic input, an holistic involvement of all stakeholders to make sure that humans are eating what is right. And again, agriculture begins with healthy seed. And these are, because most of these GMO seeds, and they cannot, after harvest, you cannot use, most of them, you cannot replant, produce the same seeds again. So we must look at the whole ecosystem, make sure that the farmers, everybody, like I said, every stakeholder for the sake of a healthy nation, because the farmers plays a role in this.
Okay, thank you for that, Emmanuel Abusin. Yes, you went in depth into that issue. So, Dahiru Ibrahim, are you still with us? Yes, maybe he's having a bit of a technical issue there. Dahiru Ibrahim, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
That's good. So, okay, we know that GMO seeds, let me be more specific now. Now, I'm talking about genetically modified, using GMOs to modify a seed that can be planted actually for harvesting later on. Now, we know that these seeds are resistant to harsh weather conditions and also to pests, which disturb farmers' crops a lot. Now, how can we ensure responsible regulation and adoption of these GMOs for seeds, for example, in a country like Nigeria?
Thank you very much. I have my own personal opinion in that and have to at least in agency that is responsible educating research specifically on agricultural. So other manufacturing have their own regulatory agency, and that of supposed to have it and do a kind of where you adopt strategy where you can bring particular individual farmers, educate them in terms of this GMCs and other new way of doing things with regard to agricultural. I can even give you my own experience. Last 2 months, I planted watermelon. That watermelon around December, January, there is a harsh weather condition, that is Hamatan season. The plant is supposed to do in a kind of 70 days. It took me like 100 days, add another 1 month. So using this, you have to call me. If there is another department that is responsible, but they will have done their own investigation or told me that this and to go line with this. So when they research and they educated me this kind of seed, I wouldn't have cost what I have cost now. And this is something that I supposed to have done in 70 days and it took me 100 days. That is, there is additional of, and those additional of 30 days, I am putting another expenses that to have my watermelon. I just sold last month. So if there is a specific agency that is responsible, and I could remember we have started using fertilizer. We are using manure before. I know in some of those villages, and I found it difficult for people to be using this fertilizer, just rather use their own. But as time goes on, when the people now it took Nigerians at least somewhere around maybe 20 years they stand of this fertilizer. Now everybody is looking for this fertilizer. Now the fertilizer is skyrocketing in price and giving this money. So if already have agency or other ministry or agency responsible, they would have done this in a month or years to enlighten and educate people concerning
Okay, thank you for that, Dahiru Ibrahim. There was a bit of a network issue there, but yes, I understand what you're saying. So in the long term, I think more education is required for planting specific crops during some certain weather conditions. That's the most important thing. Now, okay, we've seen that, yes, you don't entirely disapprove of using GMOs as a farmer. And the same thing with Emmanuel Abusin. Yes, to feed our growing population, it's actually needed. We need to use these genetically modified organisms. Yes. So okay, now the long term for using these GMOs now, do you think this will affect the livelihoods of small scale farmers in Nigeria, particularly regarding seed prices? So let me start with Emmanuel Abusin.
What we are advocating now for farmers is to have access to capital. Can have access to capital, we can then use that particular challenge in smallholder farmers having access. I will say that because it's expensive does not mean that it's not affordable, or it cannot be affordable, it cannot be accessible. When we have science discovery, it's for us to move to what there is. Let's say, for example, before the advent of smartphones and computers, human communicating, yes, but we've moved from this, even our means of transportation. Then also, we also need to into the food system so that we're not going to be left behind. If we look at a critical look at the agricultural landscape in Nigeria, over population as smallholder farmers. Yeah, and I also appreciate what in terms of seed production. I think the last stakeholders meeting that happened in Abuja, 50 cooperatives, now not farmers, cooperatives. Over 150 cooperatives have been empowered by IITA in the Northeast region in seed production and seed distribution. Smallholder farmers. So what we need to do is to design systems and models and structures that can help first take out the bottlenecks that smallholder farmers might have in terms of accessing these GMO seeds in good pricing, creating structures that these farmers will have access to funding to be able to have access to the seeds. Then again, proper education. Now, education here, I mean, now is the service of extension agricultural service workers, which is still very limited in Nigeria. So most of the challenges we have in Nigeria is based on knowledge, then information. How do we get accurate information? So when we can take some of these bottlenecks and address these things holistically, I will say that we're now making progress in the right direction. Farmers, because the people, the farming population that needs this seed most, for me, is even the smallholder farmers, so that they can accelerate, that we can upscale what they're currently doing. And that does not mean that our traditional seedlings will go into extinction. No, the seeds will going to be there. It's just that we are going to now be producing more, so there will be more to eat, so that we can leave the era of food crisis. The food crisis in Nigeria is actually terrible. The food crisis in the global scale is actually terrible. We need to address this by introducing science and technology, and I think that is what is happening currently at the larger in the agricultural ecosystem, and we should make provisions for funding for that. I think we'll be able to solve this problem.
The International Center for Agricultural Research in Dry Areas, it operates in 16 countries, particularly 50% of these countries are conflict countries. So what this NGO does is to help farmers actually make sure that they have seeds that can survive harsh conditions, and in situations where they are not able to go to the farm, these seedlings can still function and provide the right atmosphere, without a doubt, provide the right kind of crops for harvesting for farmers. So now we have this NGO doing this. It's an international organization doing this for countries that are affected by harsh weather conditions. And I'm sure you've also heard of the El Nino weather conditions. It's a dry spell that's affecting African countries at the moment. So now in this kind of situation, would you recommend more farmers to use genetically modified organisms to help with their seedlings?
Yes, exactly. There is no doubt. And this is what we, especially in Nigeria, with this competition, there's no doubt it's GMOs. And I don't think the kind of yield a hectare to have doesn't to feed nation. Because in a developed country, yield maybe rice yield per hectare maybe somewhere around 2 ton per hectare. And in this our country in area, it's not up to. So definitely there is a kind of gap. That gap and to our teaming population that can accept we employ this GMOs. Because this it has come at the time Nigeria need it. And I will welcome these NGOs if they will come to Nigeria and strategize and venture into to see how they can raise a lot of farmers so that can have this knowledge. But one thing is that the knowledge to that, there's no way if you think something new, if you didn't enlighten, get somebody how to use it, there is no way he can use it that can be beneficial to him. But once looked away and light person how to work with these GMOs, I think it's a way to go.
Okay, but you have also heard about the health benefits. Most health experts have said that using these GMOs for food items, even for seedlings, doesn't benefit consumers. That in the long term, it causes a lot of health challenges for consumers of this food product. So, okay, let me start with Emmanuel Abusin. What are your thoughts on this? Because you said the whole purpose of farming is to produce food items that can nourish the body. And if we are using food items, if we're planting with food items that can harm the body, do you really think it's still necessary for us to continue using GMOs? Yes, Emmanuel Abusin.
Okay, these are still debates that are ongoing, and since it's a debate, I want to be objective as much as possible. That we are not producing food that are healthy to people. Just like earlier mentioned, that agriculture starts with healthy seeds, and this is where the food safety agencies come into play a role to certify these seeds before even farmers can start planting them, can start making use of them. So I would say that the food agency had to come here to certify them. What Trem Agro Services do, one of my company, is we provide digital solutions to smallholder farmers. Now we have regulatory bodies that help oversee what we're doing, license our activities, oversee our activities to make sure we are following morals, ethics in delivering our services. So sometimes as producer, we might just want to produce because we have, okay, there is a need and we want to just meet the needs, but there are agencies that are there to regulate. So I would want to say that the regulatory agencies should get involved deeply to certify the health benefits of this, because it's still a debate. There are a lot of debates around GMO seeds, health from the environmental angle. So we need the agency to help regulate this process, to help certify this process. Matter of fact, we have the Seed Council, the Research Seed Council of Nigeria, and their job is to certify healthy seeds that can be given to farmers. So when all of these regulations and the regulatory agencies are well structured, I think we'll be able to have good seeds, because an average farmer who never went to school does not know which one is good or which one is bad, which one is healthy and which one is not healthy. But when the regulatory agencies get involved and the extension services workers get involved, like I keep repeating, if we're going to solve some of this problem, we need all the stakeholders to be actively involved. Then we can be able to solve the problem without leaving any stone unturned. If that is not done properly, we're still going to come back to the issue of producing food that are not healthy, then causing more harm to human than even feeding, than the food crisis we are having at the moment. So every regulatory agency, every step, we need to even look at cross-sectional collaborations. The Ministry of Health collaborating with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Education collaborating with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Labor also collaborating with the Ministry of Agriculture. When we put all efforts together, we can be able to achieve this result. Because now we can't, I'm not a health person, so I cannot tell you if they are healthy or not. But these are debates that are ongoing. And for us to tackle this debate, every stakeholder, every agency that are involved need to play a healthy role. What we provide to farmers is to enhance farmers' productivity, providing them digital solutions, access to funding, access to technology, access to machines, access to crops. Now, we need the health agency now to certify these crops. So when we have certified GMOs suppliers, we can now know that, yes, we are patronizing the right people. And if there is original, there is fake. I've never seen 2,000 naira fake anywhere in my life. I've never seen 5,000 naira fake anywhere in my life, because there's no original. So if there's original, we're also going to have the counterfeit. But how do we also now tackle this problem? Is when we have people that are certified by the food agency, NAFDAC, by health agencies and all of that, then we now know how to now tackle people who are also selling fakes, the fake products, substandard products that will now be of health issues to our nation. So every stakeholder must be actively involved to solve this problem and ensure that Nigerians are eating healthy food. First, starting by supplying healthy seeds. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Emmanuel Abusin. And thank you very much to my guests joining me this morning, Dahiru, Ibrahim, Kwaru, and Emmanuel Abusin. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on the debates of the potential benefits and the risk of genetically modified organisms, popularly called GMOs. I look forward to having you again on Market Insights.
Thank you so much,
very much.
Lavina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's take a look at the money market, how Nigeria is appreciating against the foreign currencies. So we have the dollars, pound sterling, and the euro. So we always look at the selling rates of foreign currencies when paired against the naira. So today we're looking at the selling rates of the dollar today, 23rd April. So the CBN rates for the selling for the dollar this morning is 1,010 naira to $1, and in the parallel market it's 1,250 naira to $1. And for the pound sterling, it's 1,266 naira to £1 sterling. In the parallel market, it's 1,550 naira to £1 sterling. That's a difference of 284 naira between the CBN rates and the parallel market rates. And the euro, it's 1,095 naira to €1. That's the CBN rate, and 1,300 naira at the parallel market rate. So a difference between the parallel market rate and the CBN rate is 205 naira. So those are our money market figures this morning. Okay. So those are our money market figures this morning. Thank you so much for watching Market Insights as we we discussed the potential benefits of farmers using GMO seeds to plant, and my guest said yes, it will help our growing population. As we know, we're over 200 million, above 200 million in Nigeria, so we need to have crops that can be harvested all year round because we need to feed this growing population. So I thank my guests for joining us this morning as we discuss the benefits of GMO seeds. So thank you so much for watching Market Insights, and I look forward to joining you again tomorrow as we discuss more issues affecting our economy. I am your host, Lavina Emma. Stay tuned to news updates on Soup News Television.